Shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. I want to give double honors to the GMS apostles and elders who rule well. And I want to say peace, love, and safety to all the Akim out there pushing this truth with all sincerity. Now, what I wanted to get in today was facts or some history. Mainly, in particular, I wanted to get into a man named Alexander III of Macedon, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, or everybody else knows him as Alexander the Great. All right. You got to look these things up because you got to know, because the scripture deals with prophetic, historical, geography, financial, science, deals with everything. You got to look these things up. I want to get a quick scripture. All right. Proverbs 14 and 15, and it reads, the simple believeth every word. All right. It's kind of like I researched it on Google, so it says this. And a person says, okay, I believe you. That's being simple. All right. So it says again, this is Proverbs 14 and 15. The simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going. All right. So with that, the prudent man looketh well to his going. Like, so you're gonna look things up if you're wise. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna go into one scripture, one verse. All right. We're gonna start in First Maccabees, chapter 1 and 1. All right. In that verse, there's a lot of history that you gotta look up. Diligence. That's when that comes into play. All right. So chapter 1 of First Maccabees, verse 1, and it reads, I'm gonna read it through. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chetim, and smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. All right. So this establishes the Greek rule. Now you got Esau, that the devil he is, decided to take the Apocrypha out of the scriptures. So now you got the Bibles nowadays going from the book of Malachi to the book of Matthew. Now you're skipping a whole rulership right there. You're going from the Persians to the Romans. When you look up history, that's when your diligence sets in and you start studying. When you look up your history, you know it did not go from the Persians to the Roman Empire. It didn't. Where did the Greeks come into play? And that's where you get this. If you have a 1611 King James 1611 Bible, which I do have one, it's just not with me right now. It has all the books in there. All right. But we're gonna go into Alexander the Third, because I'm not gonna say the Great anymore. He was a homosexual faggot who raped, robbed, and murdered all throughout the land. All right. So Alexander the Third. All right. His father, as it says, was Philip. That Philip that it's talking about is King Philip II. At the time, King Philip II, when he was in rulership, Slovakia. At the time, King Philip II, when he was in rulership, he was fighting. It was pretty much separate in Greece. So you had the Macedonian people, which King Philip ruled over, and then you had the city-states of Greece going at it. All right. That was Alexander III's father. All right. So Alexander III he got on like the the map, I guess you could say. He in a certain battle. There was a certain battle where he started becoming known as a military tactical general for se, all right, at a very young, early age, all right. Alexander, his military presence was first noted at the Battle of Crimea, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, in 338 BC, all right. He was 18 years of age. He was young, all right. Actually, in that battle, he was the turning point. He made the turning point in that battle to where the Macedonians actually won the battle. All right, so you can see that he had great tactics in the military realm. You know, so his father, King Philip II, as it says right here. I'm gonna read verse 1 again, and it says, "And it happened after Alexander, son of Philip." So King Philip II, he was assassinated, all right? He was assassinated in 336 BC, all right? And obviously, he had a son who was Alexander III, and his son was his successor, all right, after he died. And that was in 336 BC. So what age does that put Alexander III in? 20 years old. There you go. I'm going to skip. I said I was going to go through one verse, but I'm going to skip to verse 7, and it's going to tell you when he died, all right? Or how long, he reigned, okay? Because when you look it up, Alexander III died at a tender age of like 32, all right? Now, if he first assumed rulership as king at the age of 20, and you look him up, he died at the age of 32. This is how you can verify that these scriptures are not fake, and it's straight facts. Everything is real about the scriptures. First Maccabees, chapter 1 and 7, all right? So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. So what's 20 plus 12? 32. He died at the age of 32. So he wreaked havoc for 12 years and died at a tender age of 32. That's how the Most High wanted it, all right? All right, so with King Philip II dead, Alexander III in rulership now as king of the Macedonian people, he decided to continue in his father's footsteps. And what was that? His father had a plan to go on a Persian campaign. So this is how it started. And Alexander was going to follow that, all right? Because he wanted to do it ultimately as well, okay? But the Most High had to set up, it wasn't King Philip who was going to do this. He had to set up to Alexander who was going to do this, all right? All right. So Alexander's first major campaign was that of his father's, which was the Persian campaign planned by his father, all right? So the Persian campaign, Alexander led a troop of 32,000 soldiers, or infantry, and 5,100 cavalry, all right? He led them to Asia Minor, okay? So they started off in Greece. So pretty much you have to go, if you have Greece right here, if you have Greece right here, you got to go up and over to go get to Asia Minor. Asia Minor consisted of modern day like Turkey, if I'm not mistaken, all right? I wish I had my globe with me so I can show you physically where he traveled to go into Asia Minor, because you have to go through certain places to get to the Persian rule, all right? So then he sacked the city of Baalbek, all right? And he renamed it Heliopolis, all right? Now, when you go and research Heliopolis, there's another one in Egypt, and you'll see there's not a temple, whatever they had it is. It's erected, all right? Just like the building in Washington, D.C. I guess this the memorial or whatnot. It's all the way erected, and it has that point at the end, very